What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And today is not a podcast day. Today is going to be a it's going to be a One Piece arc tier list up to and including Fishman Island. So not every arc because we haven't seen every arc. So this is the best we can do right now.
Basically everything up to the time skip plus the first time skip arc.
Exactly. Oh yeah, and Tyler's here too.
Yeah. Yeah. I am here as well.
All right. So why don't we just dive right in? Romance Dawn. It's like 3 episodes, but it's the start.
Is it really only that many? I thought it was like 4 or 5.
I think it. Well, I think it's three, or I don't think it's more than four.
Less than 10.
Yeah. It might be five, but I don't think it's. I don't. I think it's only three or four.
Yeah.
It's not much to say about it. It's kind of like we have that part with the ship. Oh yeah, this is gonna be filled with spoilers, by the way. We have that part when we see Luffy when he's introduced with that ship, and then Nami on that cruise, on that like fancy like dinner ship, and
I think her
then
name was Alvida.
yeah, Alvida comes in and raids it, and that's when we meet Kobe as well. And then after that, they go to the Marine base, and he gets Zoro and everything there. So that's about it for that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, with like
Pretty short.
with arcs like this, I don't know how I can. It's to me, it's just like average, because it's just a
Yeah.
setup arc.
I'd say it does a good job of like starting the series, although I had some weird issues with like the tone. Like I couldn't tell if it was just trying to be
It didn't know what it wanted
entirely
to be yet.
yeah, but it was still a good start. Like I wouldn't say it was outstanding, but I also wouldn't say it was like a bad introduction. So yeah, I'd say like B, A,
Yeah,
B ish
like
maybe.
I don't have anything too much to criticize it, but I also can't really laud it that
Yeah,
much
yeah, I
either.
guess that can be like our middle ground.
Yeah, all right, B is good there.
Mhm.
Okay, Orange Town, when we see Buggy for the first time. This one actually has some like development and story to it. When
Mhm.
they meet Nami and
Which she already was there before, but she was just kind of like shown in a couple scenes, but like not.
yeah, she
She
was
didn't have
doing
she
her
didn't have
own
any
thing.
dialogue.
Yeah. They meet Nami. They save the town from the Buggy pirates. We see the first, I think the first other Devil Fruit user other than Luffy, in Buggy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I was gonna say Alvida, but she didn't get one until later. So.
Yeah, we don't see her really do anything up until this point.
Mhm.
Uh, when it concerns Devil Fruits.
Yeah. I'd say this is considered like the first actual arc.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
one where we see them actually like need to do something.
yeah.
I don't like. This is just one of those arcs that you kind of just have to get through. It's not that
Yeah, I
it's
really wasn't crazy about it. Like,
bad,
I
but
was just kind of like annoyed by. I mean, it definitely fit the tone of the series, but I was just annoyed by how goofy and like circusy Buggy's crew was. So it kind of removed a lot of the like immediate threat.
I
It just kind of
did
made it more funny than anything else.
I did like the part about I don't know if you remember the dog that was protecting the pet
Yes, I
food
do remember
shop,
that. I do remember that.
and how it was like it got beat to hell.
And I
I
did
think that
like
was
that as
nice.
well.
And we obviously see Nami freak out because Luffy's a rubber man.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the fight with Buggy, and obviously Luffy and Buggy talk about Shanks in that arc. I thought the fight with Buggy was okay. Nothing amazing, but
Yeah, it was like because Buggy's power is interesting. It's really cool,
yeah.
but I don't know. Back then, I really wasn't crazy about anything related to Buggy. Like when he
Mhm.
first was introduced, I did not like him at first, so maybe that's why I don't really like this arc as much. But
Yeah,
that's
I'll
just
admit
me.
like the character style and like the clown aesthetic wasn't is a little off-putting as a first arc.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but maybe some people like clowns. I don't know.
Yeah, well, because usually in, like a long-running series like this, the first arc is usually like there's I always feel like there's always a super cliche villain that shows up. Like it's always some like super normal, serious, cliche villain that like I don't know. I just always feel like that's the first arc is what happens. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
do anything innovative
I
or
feel
crazy.
you.
It's just kind of like your typical anime villain. But obviously that didn't go that way with One Piece. So just like other than Alvida, our first like or Captain
Hmm.
Morgan, I guess, our first like full arc villain is a clown. So
Yeah,
I
but
thought it was funny. I just didn't see it much more than that.
like, but you never expect that first villain to ever like make an appearance again. And Buggy comes back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Multiple
Uh,
times. Like he has a lot of recurring uh appearances.
yeah, you almost see that first villain as a chance to showcase what the main character can really do,
Mm-hmm.
and it usually goes one of two ways. Usually, it's a pretty clear display of strength, or they get their ass beat. And in this instance, it was a clear display of strength from Luffy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
Um,
was just him whooping ass.
I don't know. I'm. I don't think I can dog on it too much. I don't think I can.
I'd probably say B.
Yeah, I don't think I can give. Definitely not an A, but I don't think I could give it a C.
I'd say like a low B. Like
Yeah,
obviously we're not going to order them in their tiers, or we could, but
we could.
I'd say
We'll
like
say the leftmost is more is
yeah,
better than the rightmost. Um, yeah, but yeah, that's. I don't want to keep going on about this arc because there's not too much more to
yeah.
say.
That's all we got to say about it.
Okay, Seer Village.
I really liked this arc.
I really like.
I fucking
This is the first
loved this
arc where I'm like, okay, this is starting to get interesting. Because like
Yeah.
at that point in One Piece, when I was like, I'm waiting for like the hook,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't say the Seer Village is necessarily the hook, but it's at least it's starting to get there.
It gave you an idea of the series potential, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like it's the
Um,
first arc that actually had like a semblance of storytelling
mm-hmm.
and with actual plot twists and stuff like. So it's like for the first time you actually see the potential of the writer.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that honestly. And also, this is like, Usopp's introduction, and Usopp is like one of my favorite One Piece characters. So, also, I really love the villain for Syrup Village. I think Kuro is
Agreed.
like a cool ass villain, like one of my favorites. He's so cool. Um, and even though his crew was kind of like the same thing as like Buggy's, where it's like they're all kind of weird, like they're all like cat related.
Yeah,
Um,
it was definitely a little. It was less goofy, but it was definitely goofy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is it still had like a semblance of like seriousness and like you know actual threat to me. Uh, so I liked it all the way through. I thought it was good, and plus that was the first.
Mhm.
That was like well, that's the thing with all these earlier arcs is like each time a new member of the crew gets added, you get to see how they start to interact with the other members, and so this was the first part where Zoro and Nami are like actually cooperating because Nami like
Yeah,
technically joined after the one before this, um, and so she was just tagging along at that point. So you get to see her with like with like Zoro. Like I remember
and we get to
specifically
see
there's that one
Zoro
scene.
actually fight for real for the first time.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true. Um,
and whatever Usopp does, and everything with the Kaya dynamic and I mentioned it to you before with the parallels with the old folklore of Aesop's fables
mm-hmm.
and how the writer kind of took from that. I know you didn't know that initially, but I
I
thought that
actually
was
yeah I
really
didn't know anything
interesting.
about that, so it was really cool when you told me about it.
Yeah, so not an S, but or I don't know. It'd either be
I'd
an
say it's
A
an
or a
A.
high B.
I'd say it's an A. I liked it a lot more than the first two.
Okay, I'll give it an A for now, but as we go through this, we might rearrange some stuff, so we'll see.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I'll concede an A for now, but
for now. Yeah, we
it
can
might
always go back and
change
look.
later. Okay, so Baratier,
The boat.
yeah,
It's a
Sanji.
restaurant boat.
Um, I'll
Yeah, this
admit
was Sanji's introduction.
after I didn't like this one as much as Usopp, as much as Syrup Village.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't dislike it, but it was getting to the point, especially during Sanji's backstory, where I was like, can we just speed this up a little? I want to get to the I just want to get the crew together because like
Yeah.
going into One Piece, you know that 5-person crew is going to start out.
Yeah, it's kind of like unavoidable because on all like even the original like first parts of the series like cover art, it shows all them five together. So you kind of already expect. It's almost like it feels like a prequel.
Yeah, a little bit.
Um,
It's a bit of yeah. I'll admit it's an interesting arc, like with the pirates, him releasing the pirate and I forget what the pirate's name is called, but he goes to
Don
him, he comes
Krieg.
back. Yeah, Don Krieg, that's it.
That's the big dude with the coat.
Yeah, yeah, and it's this guy with the sideburns. It's probably hard to see, but and he comes back and then he fights with Luffy, and then Mihawk shows up.
Oh, I forgot that was in that arc.
Yeah, which was kind of crazy. So that
Yeah,
was
I
cool.
had the same like thing happen that you did with it, where I felt it was kind of dragging on, but not at the same part. For me, I didn't really care too much about the actual Don Krieg fight. I just thought it was kind of like it just kept dragging on. Like Luffy just kept getting knocked down, kept getting up, kept getting knocked down, kept getting
Yeah,
up. The fight itself, I wasn't crazy about, but I was really interested in like Sanji and Zaf, um, which is like his what's it called? His like mentor, the chef.
I'd say
Um,
I think the reason it dragged for me was the point where Nami left, and I was like, "What the fuck is she doing?"
yeah, where's she
And like,
going?
we gotta go get her. What's gonna
Yeah,
happen? That's the point where I was like, "Okay, can we wrap this up?"
yeah, we got to get to the next arc.
Yeah, yeah.
But I really
I'll,
I enjoyed Mihawk's introduction. Like him showing up was like a kind of a curveball I didn't expect. And then I
yeah,
also
true.
this arc, like at the end of it, it almost got me. It was really sad, like with Sanji parting from his crew on that
Sure.
boat. Like, and he was like, he turns around and he like thanks him for giving him a place to live and a reason to like an ambition or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, oh that one hit me. Um, because
Oh,
they did a good
yeah,
job of displaying like the bond he has with all those chefs and cooks,
true.
and how indebted he is to them and whatever. So that for that reason, I did really
That was a
like
nice
it.
touch.
But the actual like action in it, I wasn't crazy about. I was like, except for the Mihawk stuff with Zoro, that was really
Mhm.
good. So
True.
I'd say for this, for me, is probably like a high B. I wouldn't put it any higher.
Yeah, I'll agree there. And also to add, I think we have to also consider that this was like the first time Luffy actually broke out some new moves. Um,
Which ones? Because
like
he
I think
did he did
the
bazooka to Buggy.
I think the hammer he did in the first time this one,
Interesting.
and
Okay.
maybe the rifle.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't
I honestly don't
I don't
remember.
remember
It's
though.
been so long.
Yeah, yeah, it's been too long. But yeah, I'll give it a high B. I'll
Yeah, I'd
put
say
it
like the highest B so far.
right there. There you go.
Hmm.
I think that works. Okay, now Arlong Park. Now this is the first heavy hitter in my opinion.
Yeah, this is the first
This is the
big
first S
arc.
contender. I'm not saying it's an S, but it's the first S contender in my opinion. Um,
This one had some like this arc specifically had a big tone shift.
Super.
Um,
Yeah, like you don't like you see this like happy-go-lucky like pirate show. It's not really a kid show because it's very violent. But there's a lot of fighting, but it didn't really get dark at all until this arc. And
yeah,
I'm not saying
it
it's
was
really
a
dark, but
well. There's some parts of it that really are,
it's kind of fucked up.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's still One Piece. It's not like jarring, but yeah, it took a turn for the serious like all the way through, and yeah, Arlong Park is great. It's great.
Hmm.
It's Nami's backstory, which all the backstories in One Piece are just they make you love the
Really well
character
thought
instantly.
out.
Like
Yeah.
we didn't really talk about it much, but like Zoro's backstory is even though it's only an episode, it's so good.
True.
Sanji's backstory is really good. Usopp's backstory is obviously great, and then Nami's is like so sad,
Yeah. Just
and it just makes you feel
tragic.
for the character and all of her like struggles with not wanting to be this bad person, but she's got to keep, trying to pay off, her quote unquote debt or whatever she has for Arlo,
Yeah, it's
'cause
like
she wants to buy the village.
you put yourself in her shoes, and you're like, you'd almost do the same thing, because like, what else do you do? There's nothing you
Yeah,
can
what
do.
can you do?
It's like, it's very relatable, even though like no one's really ever been through that.
Yeah.
And it's the first arc where we see the character very early in the show, and we're wondering why she's doing this. Why is she such a big thief? Why is she taking all this money? Like, is she just really greedy, or is there
Because at
a
first I
overarching
honestly,
reason?
I had no idea at first. I thought she was just being a bad person, and
Yeah.
then there was actual reason given. And
And
you
why does she
understand it,
hate
obviously.
pirates so much? And then
Yeah, that
we find
too.
out. And that's the first time we see fishmen, which obviously are a bigger thing later, but are pretty significant in this arc.
Oh yeah, that is the first arc where they show up. Huh.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'd say this
And
is like
yeah,
a
the
really
the whole
high A
the
for me.
moment with Nami and Luffy, and then the walk.
Yeah, the
Oh,
strut. Oh, the strut.
damn.
That was so good.
That was a moment right there.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty iconic.
So iconic. Might be one of the most iconic scenes in the whole show.
I would agree with that.
Especially because it's so early, and like
Mhm.
that's like the first thing everyone remembers, really.
Yeah.
Um,
For me, this is a high A.
yeah,
I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd say S because I don't want to give too many to S, and I don't
I'd be
like.
yeah, it'd be a close S, but in this system, I'll give it a high A.
I'd say it's
S
the
is
highest.
it's hard to put in more, like to be an S. Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll get to the criteria.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. I think it's the highest A though. It's definitely
Mm-hmm.
the highest A so far, at least.
Yeah. So then after that, we got Logtown.
Logtown. This is an interesting one because there isn't really like a mission in this one. It's basically just they stop here right before going to the Grand Line, and shit happens.
Yeah, it's kind of a spur of the moment, like unavoidable happening. Um, but it's like this big combination of a couple returning characters, some new ones,
Yeah.
and everyone just kind of fighting. Uh, Obviously not consistent fighting, but like it's just a big like scramble for the most part because Buggy and Alvida come back and they're
Yep.
together now as
They-
like a crew.
And they
then-
capture Luffy, and they almost kill him.
Yeah, which that scene is always super weird to me because it's like Luffy. I couldn't tell if he knew that he wasn't gonna die or if he was just literally just like, "Sorry guys, I'm dead," like he
Yeah.
expected to. Like that's such a weird moment to me. But um, also
Yeah,
this arc,
I did feel like that was a little too Deus Ex Machina with the lightning
almost like out of
strike.
character.
Well, I think the smile was in character.
Well, yeah, but the
But
fact that he
yeah,
was just like it kind of seemed like he was just expecting to die. I was like, that's not really.
it
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 just
felt
doesn't seem like a
a
Luffy
little
thing.
too convenient with the lightning strike for me.
Yeah.
I was like, you're kind of forcing it. Like, the best part about One Piece is that it doesn't do that very often, but it
Yeah.
did do it here. But yeah, then we get our first hints at Dragon, who we see later in the show. And
Yeah,
we
in
see Smoker for
typical
the
One
first
Piece
time.
fashion, a character shows up for the first time really early, and then you hear nothing about them for like 300 episodes. So
Exactly.
yeah, very early showing of a character. But yeah, then Smoker and Tashigi show up, which they're so cool.
Yeah, some of the
Love
coolest characters.
both of those characters. And then there's also some other cool things, like you get to see that one like sharpshooter guy or whatever who knows Usopp's dad.
Oh.
Which that was cool.
Oh, you're
That
right.
was really cool.
Yeah.
That's how Usopp got the goggles.
Mm-hmm.
Which that was another interesting thing. Like there's a lot of interesting things in Logtown that are like little bits and pieces. Like Zoro gets that cursed sword. That's where he gets that
He
sword.
gets two swords actually. He gets the cursed sword and the Yubashiri, which is the one he broke at Annie's lobby.
Yeah.
And then he had that whole back and forth with Tashigi, who wanted his sword that
Well,
he
yeah,
got
and
from.
Zoro thought that she looked a lot like his childhood friend who gave him the
Yeah,
Wado Ichimonji. So there's that as well. There's a lot that happens, and it's not even that long either.
it's like it's one of those arcs that it sets up for a lot of things in the future.
Very much so a setup arc. Very
Yeah.
much.
Uh, but I think it's solid. I don't think I can give an arc like that an A, but high
Yeah, no,
B.
I'd say it's a high B as well.
I'll give it even the highest B, or maybe not. No,
Maybe. I don't know.
maybe the second highest B.
Yeah, we'll
I
go
think
back and
that works
adjust it.
there. All right, we'll just say that for now. Okay. So because we didn't really know how to classify it, we're not really gonna include Reverse Mountain and Whiskey Peak because I don't know. We don't really see those as like arcs.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
saying we can maybe combine like Reverse Mountain Whiskey Peak as like one arc, but they're two like pretty different things happening. So they're kind of like just like the only things about Whiskey Peak I'd say that are like pretty important is well and Reverse Mountain. Like Reverse Mountain introduces Laboon and Whiskey Peak
Yeah.
introduces like VV and a couple other characters related.
They're
Like
really
Mature.
only setup arcs though. Like Logtown had some interesting interactions with Smoker and Buggy, but that also had some setup. But this is like pure setup, these two.
Yeah,
And I
they
just
really
don't
are.
think you can really do anything with that as far
Yeah,
as like rating.
yeah.
Um,
So
so
then
anyway, on to Little Garden. So I really like this arc, honestly. I it was like the first arc after Arlong Park where I was like really interested in what's going on and how they're gonna get out of this situation, you know?
yeah, I liked the one the few things I'd say that I do like a lot about Little Garden is the place itself. How it's like this weird, like gigantic prehistoric place and everything's big.
Hmm.
Um, and there's also like giants present and obviously there's explanation given to why they're there, but just like the beginning part where you just see giants fighting, it's like that that feels like One Piece, but it's kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah,
But the actual like plot of Little Garden, I really wasn't a fan of personally. I just I don't know the villain just ends up being kind of lame to me.
he
But
seemed
that's just
pretty
me.
strong at first.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just the way he talked and the way he like acted and like I don't remember entirely his motives, but he just I don't know. It didn't seem like a villain you could get behind and be like, yeah, this is
Well,
exciting. It was
it
like
was
a
part of Baroque Works.
yeah, he was one of those guys, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I just for the actual like content of the arc, I wasn't crazy about it. The only thing I really cared about was the giants.
Yeah, I think the overarching sub like plot of this particular arc with the giants and the integrity of their duel, that I loved that. And then at the end
Yeah.
with the when them killing the giant fish
Hmm.
and like talking about thanking them for protecting the integrity of their fight, like that was awesome. I really
That was
liked that.
literally like all I cared about for that arc was the giants, and also Sanji talking to Crocodile. That was pretty good too. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, where he picks up the
yeah,
transponder snail.
I
But
remember.
the actual like main conflict with the wax like statue thing that just seemed more comedic than anything else. Like how Zoro was posing because he didn't want to, he wanted to look cool while he was getting frozen. Like it just seemed more funny than anything else. I didn't really see any
I
threat
I really liked how they got
involved.
out of it though, and Zoro's flaming onigiri was sick. Like you have to admit that.
I don't even remember it to be honest. I really don't remember that happening.
Well, I
Um,
think it was Luffy knocked down the candles, and the candles fell to the ground, and they lit the wax on fire or something like that. I might be kind of wrong there, but then the wax melted, and then they broke out of the wax just in time.
okay.
But yeah, I think the best part of that was definitely the giants for sure.
Yeah, they were just such charismatic, interesting characters,
Hmm.
and they
I'll
were just
yeah.
introduced.
I don't know. I
Um,
can't give it an A. Definitely not an A.
for me, it's a C. I just
Yeah.
didn't like it enough to
I think it's a
warrant.
B.
I'll go with like lowest B, but
All
I
right,
just wasn't
I'll
crazy
concede
about it.
that, but I definitely think it's at least a B.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Drum Island. Chop chop.
What do you mean, no.
Do you get it?
Okay. Yeah, I get it. The one thing that was really cool about the beginning of Drum Island was that like it was just really cold, and for the most part, all the arcs we've seen to this point are like hot, summery, tropical-ish.
Sure. It's
Because
the first time
it's a world full of water.
It's the first time or at least we got to see the whole dynamic with the Grand Line of winter islands and summer islands and these different islands who have seasons and different aspects to them.
It's a big change from just the consistent like sunny day by a beach, like every other arc before that. Like Little Garden was this weird tropical Amazon, and then after that, it's just ice cold, freezing in Drum Island. It's really cool. The like introduction of Chopper was obviously really cool and kind of like pretty. The way he gets introduced is like kind of like mysterious almost because he doesn't say anything, and the doctor that he's with, Doctorine, she seems kind of like an asshole at first, and people no one really liked her because like the way that they were talking about her is like rumoring like what do they call her, like the something witch in the castle or something like that, like they were saying some mean things about her.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, this Chopper guy is supposed to be like a member of the crew, because I obviously knew who he was, and I was like how are they gonna turn this around? And obviously eventually it turns around. The only thing I didn't like about this arc was the immediate threat villain guy, the chop mouth
Wapple.
dude. I didn't like him at all.
I
didn't care about anything he did.
Stupid. I liked the whole dynamic with Nami getting sick and having to climb up the drum.
Oh my dude.
Yeah.
Luffy climbing the side of that was one of the most cringe out of my skin moments ever.
Wait, really?
Oh my god,
What happened?
dude. Because you don't remember how he like climbed the side of that and his fingers were like getting bloodied and scraped up?
That's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, that part, like where he's literally climbing the wall.
Yeah,
and
that was
freezing
rough.
cold, and there's like frostbite, bloody fingers. I was like, oh, dude, stop.
Yeah.
I remember that so vividly. Oh my god. But yeah, all the other stuff that happens at the arc, I really liked. I liked the I forget his name, but the guy that was the Zoan type. I liked, all the moments where Luffy was, doing his typical convincing someone to join his crew parts with Chopper, and like the flag, and then there's Chopper's backstory, which is just as sad as every other backstory,
and like everything with like nobody seeing him as human or even like worth anything.
Yeah, and that kind of made him like really insecure about like going outside of his island, because he thought everyone
like
would
interacting with
discriminate.
anyone outside of Doctorine.
Yeah, and so Luffy convincing him to join his crew because he's just that persistent.
Yeah.
Some really
Luffy
powerful
can make
stuff.
friends with literally anyone.
Yeah, some really powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So for that reason, it's probably an A. Probably. But that's only for everything else but the actual like fights.
Mm-hmm.
Like the actual action, I didn't care about in that arc at all.
Yeah, I mean the villain was like the villain was the cold. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, the villain was the temperature.
Yeah. I don't know. I really liked it.
I'll go high B.
Yeah, I'll say
B.
highest B. I'll
Yeah.
I'll say highest B. I don't know if I can give it an A.
I'd say I maybe liked it more than Arlong Park, maybe.
Yeah, no, for me, Arlong Park is definitely significantly better. Yeah, just Wapol was stupid.
Yeah, that was really disappointing, because I was like, everything about this is like so cool and mysterious, and then this dude with the big metal like chomping mouth shows up, and he's just annoying.
The chomp.
He's just annoying.
I really like the setting though, with the drums and the winter. Yeah, like the setting was so cool, and then everything with Nami and Chopper was great. It's just the actual antagonist was just like, why are you here?
Yeah, yeah. It really was like a weird part of the. Yeah, whatever. Okay, moving on.
Okay, Alabasta.
This is one of my
What are we
favorites.
saying here?
Alabasta is one of my favorites. I love Alabasta so much.
It's definitely up there. It's I
Because
can't.
this is technically the second like saga ending. Like the East Blue
Yeah.
saga, which is like everything before the Grand Line. There wasn't really like a climax to it. It was more so like at the end of
This is the
Logtown, them rushing
second
to the
big
boat.
climax.
Yeah, like the first one was more so them just like escaping Logtown and getting on the boat, and then after that it's like, haha, we made it to the Grand Line, yay, and that was like
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
but like it didn't feel like a climax. It just felt like the beginning of the prologue. Um, I mean the ending of the prologue is what I meant. This is like the actual first big like how the series likes to progress is like little arc, little arc, little arc, building into the end of a saga. Like
Mm-hmm.
and the ending of the saga is like this big, this big occurrence. And Alabasta really was just it was it was epic. It was big. Um, and I really like. I mean, obviously that's how Vivi became like my favorite female character in the show. Like I love Crocodile
He's
as a
great,
villain.
yeah.
He's cool.
This was Crocodile's the first villain where I was like, how are they actually gonna beat him?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
it seems so simple too because he just turns to sand, but like in a place where there's no water, how you gonna get some water?
Yeah. And like they didn't even realize that until Luffy fought him the first time. So you don't like it doesn't really like it. You think about it as the viewer, and you're like, well, maybe water, but you're not sure.
Maybe water.
But maybe water will do something, and then obviously, it works where Luffy actually grabs him just before he passes out.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
Water.
yeah.
Also, like on top of all of these crazy, like build-ups to this big climax, including actually like Vivi's story arc with the not only just her taking back her kingdom and also the like resistance against the capital with what I don't remember his name, but I really liked his character.
Oh yeah, I know. You're
Like the
talking
leader of that little resistance that
Mhm.
in that little war they had like storming the capital, all like chaotically combining with Luffy bringing Vivi there at the same time. That's why it all like just exploded when they got there. Not only that, Smoker and Tashigi come back because Smoker is
True.
still like persistent, and it's Ace's introduction.
about.
So Ace
Yes.
shows up, and Ace
It
is so
was-
cool when he shows up.
It's the first arc where a lot of storylines collide, and it's not
It's
just
almost
the
like
crew.
it treats it as setup, but it's also a climax, which is just really cool.
Yeah.
And that's why Alabasta is easily one of my favorite arcs. Also, it has like a lot of Nico Robbins stuff because before you didn't know who she was other than Miss All Sunday.
Yeah.
But you actually like learn, about her, and obviously, at the end of Alabasta, she joins the crew. And I wish Vivi would have joined so bad. Vivi and Karu would have been such a good addition, but
Mhm.
they gotta run that.
Oh, I love
They gotta
Karu.
run Alabasta.
Cotter's the shit.
I was so sad. I was like, I mean, I know they don't join, but I was really hoping they
Dude,
join
when
'cause she
Karu
wanted to
shows up,
join.
when Karu shows up with a fleet of ducks.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I was like, he is the G. He is the best.
That was the shit. And
I love Karu.
and then I get the climactic fights where everyone splits up and we get to see everyone fight this time.
And that's like traditional anime, not even just One Piece, but traditional shonen action anime fighting. Like they split to each character having their own individual fights. Like it's happened at every arc before this, like Arlong Park.
Yeah, but like
Um,
we hadn't seen Nami really fight.
That's true. Yeah, we haven't seen, and also like,
It was the first time we actually saw Chopper fight.
and it was a lot like more of a threat at that point. Like Usopp almost getting himself killed fighting those people by himself with
Yeah.
Chopper. Zoro's fight with the guy that's just made of blades.
Where he learns to cut steel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's also Nami's like first actual thing with the Climatex,
the
right?
climb attack, yeah.
And then obviously Luffy with Crocodile with like the water was really cool. The actual like fight, like it was
Yeah, I thought the actual fight, other than like the blood realization, was kind of just basic.
yeah, like the actual
But-
final fight I was hype about because obviously it was like you finally beat this, big tyrant guy, this big warlord, and that's like a
Yeah.
big deal. But like it wasn't anything, crazy the entire time. I just liked I enjoy when like the main character loses once and then they figure out a way to beat him the second time. Like I enjoy that. So when Luffy figured that out and he came back
Yeah.
like prepared to win, that was really cool to me. Um,
I did like the dynamic of having them in this crumbling structure underground. That was
yeah,
cool. And then
yeah, that
Robin
added
was
some
right there with
tension.
him.
And she just kind of at that point was like, she felt like broken and empty because of the poneglyph didn't have what she wanted on it, like
Yeah.
written. Um,
And then the whole thing with Luffy carrying her out.
and that's
And
why she joins, because she was like,
yeah.
"You let me live, so you're gonna take responsibility." And it's just, oh man, I love Alabasta so much. Alabasta for me is an S. It is for me. It's one of my favorites.
Really?
For
Wow.
you, it doesn't have to be. Like I'll maybe agree with like high A, but for
I'll give it
me,
an A,
it's one of my
for sure.
favorites.
I'll give it an A. I just didn't like. It didn't really get me with the climax as much as I thought it would, and everything with the bomb in the clock tower. It was, and like the Dark Knight Rises flying off and whatever. That was cool. But then the guy survived.
Yeah. I thought
I'm
that
like,
same
what?
thing too. I thought that same thing. I was
Like
like,
that just
I
like
mean, did he have
completely
to live?
eliminated the significance of that.
Hmm.
And Crocodile's a really good villain. I thought it was kind of stupid though. And he underestimated his enemies, but that is kind of also his character. He's very arrogant.
Yeah, and I mean, like he's been running that place for how long? Just like draining it of all of its moisture and just like making everyone, bend to his will. So to have someone show up and just beat the shit out of him like that, probably didn't expect it.
I thought the final fight with Luffy could have been more interesting. The individual fights with the other characters were really good. I really enjoyed those.
Yeah, like Sanji's with Bone Clay was pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
And at the end with everyone holding their arms out with the X on them,
Yep.
I loved
Yep.
that. I'll go high A,
Yeah,
but
I'll
it didn't
agree
really
with
hit
high A.
me. Though
I'd say for me,
it was
if
really
we're gonna
cool.
say A though, I'd say highest A so far.
I'll put it on par with Arlong.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
Okay.
I'll put it in the
that's fine.
slot, but for me they're tied. But we'll just say that. Okay, next one, Skypiea.
Here's where
Okay.
here's where the conflicting opinions show up.
Yeah.
I'll let you start though.
All right. So Skypiea, the way it's all structured with starting on the ground and having this build up with this guy and with this guy whose ancestor was mocked for believing in this Sky Island and him staying there all those years searching for it, and then actually going like this is like almost a multi-layered arc in more ways than one, because we start on the ground and then everything with the knock-up string, we get up there, and then we actually have to get to the actual town where like the main part of Sky Island is, and then we have to go to this weird like land-looking island that was as we eventually find out was propelled up by the knock-up stream. There's a lot of different places that we go in just this one arc. But the reason I think I like it more than Alabasta was just there was a lot of different twists and turns. I think Alabasta was interesting, but it didn't really have like the plot twists that I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just the whole dynamic of actually like cuz when at first at the beginning of the arc when Robin's talking about the Sky Island and they see this ship fall from the sky, I'm like, are they actually doing this? Like this seems like a little ridiculous to put in so early. And I'm like, they actually did it. And then we get to Jaya, which is where the island on the ground is called, and then you have that interaction with Luffy and Zoro in the bar with Bellamy, and they just take it.
Yeah, I did really like that, and also right
Yeah.
after that they talked to Blackbeard for the first time.
Yeah, and they didn't even realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And then right before they go up to Sky Island, oh, obviously you have the backstory of Sky Island with the whatever the fuck the guy's name was with the thing on his head.
I forget his name too, to be honest.
Yeah. And then you have the fight between Luffy and Bellamy, where Luffy just fucking decks him
Oh
in
my
one
god,
punch.
that is still one of my favorite moments in the entire
Like
series
that
because
was so
he
good.
walks up and the dude's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'll beat you again," and then he just like bounces around and then just gets punched once into the ground at like so powerful. Dude is out,
Hmm.
gone, out, done.
Yeah, like not getting up, and
That was so that was so cool.
and the whole thing with them finding the Luffy's new bounty and not being able to not being able to like communicate it in time.
Hmm.
Like that was really interesting. And then right before they go up in the knockup stream, Blackbeard's chasing down, and then they just barely escape.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. They were there because that's the first time Luffy and Zoro find out about first time Luffy finds out about his increased bounty. First time Zoro finds out that he has a bounty.
Okay, I forgot that that part even existed. To be honest.
Yeah, and then
Um.
they get up to the island and like you see the actual I forget what the term that the Sky Island people use to characterize dirt. Um,
Verth, I think it was.
Verth, that's it. Yeah. So you get up to the normal part of Sky Island with those that girl and her father who helped them. I forget their names. And then you see like the upper yard as they call it. And you're like you think back to the guy on the ground's house and how it's like cut in half and you're like maybe is that did that actually happen? And then Nami actually finds the other half of the house, and up there, you're like, holy shit. This is really cool now.
Yeah.
Um, and then we get to the whole fight with the Shannara people, I think they're called. And the introduction of the dials is such a cool system. Like
Yeah, dials are cool. They are
dials
really
are
cool.
like they can basically do anything, and like barely like nobody really knows about them because let's be honest, we don't actually know other than Gold Roger and the Straw Hats who's actually been up there.
Mm-hmm.
Like just because these big pirates like Shanks or as we figure out like Kaido or Big Mom, we don't know that they actually went up there, so we don't know how many people know about dials.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a really interesting aspect that like
Yeah.
the Straw Hats may
And
have a
another
little bit of
thing
an upper
is
hand
you learn
here.
about like you find out that there's this thing called mantra, which
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
yeah, no one has any idea how that stuff works. Because I initially thought that that was just gonna be like only a technique those people could do, and like it was just gonna be specific to those people, and later on people would figure out like what other ways to do it without quote unquote using it. But obviously that's not the case. Mantra just was another name for hockey, and we didn't know about it until then. Um,
Yeah, and then
but
one of my favorite. It's so simple, but one of my favorite aspects of Skypiea is the fact that it's. I found like I figured it out so early, because Eneru's devil fruit power is lightning. I was like, oh, Luffy's good. and
because he's
exactly
made of rubber.
yeah, and that's exactly what happened. I was like, I thought that
He's
was
fine.
really
He's
funny.
chilling.
Yeah.
Uh,
I thought like the fight was weird, like with his whole hand getting caught in the golden ball. But I like the climax of it when they're running on the vine that is falling down in order to get up to the bell, and him doing that crazy slingshot to get to the bell and knock Eneru out. I thought that was sick.
yeah, like the actual like I don't know. My big issues with Skypiea for me, because I wasn't too crazy about it in the end, was like once they started fighting people, just the people were just kind of weird. Like I didn't really like. I thought Eneru was kind of cool, but they all seemed kind of like a bunch of crazy people because they were talking about how they're like these superior beings and all that
Well,
stuff.
yeah,
It was
Eneru
just
claimed he was God, and
yeah, that's what I mean. They all
believed
seemed
him.
like a bunch of psychos, and so these people were just like I don't know. They had like pretty interesting designs, but it was more weird than anything to me. And I didn't like how a lot of the places looked in Skypiea. Like I didn't like how the people really looked.
Well,
Um,
in
it just was a
to
weird setting for me.
okay, to kind of like support the argument of the way that Skypiea of the way those people acted, like they don't know anything about the ground world because they've lived up there for their entire lives. So they don't know anything about anything below except for
Well,
the
yeah,
pirates that come
I
up
understand
or
that.
anything who comes up. So I kind of believe there being this different sort of culture around the way the world works. So
Well,
that's
yeah,
not
yeah,
too
yeah.
far-fetched for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too hard on it, but I just I wasn't crazy about any of like the fights with Eneru. I didn't really like what were the people called? Were they Shandians? Was that what it was?
Shandarians? I think that
I
was
don't
it.
know. The
Shanaran,
people that
just
all looked like
Shandara.
Indians.
Shandora was that? I think it was Shandora. I'm pretty sure it's Shandora. Yeah.
Yeah, the I didn't really like care much about those people, even though I know there was like a really emotional
I
message
I
behind them.
didn't care initially, but then we got the backstory with the guy that nobody believed, and with the city of gold. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, no, that the backstory I really liked, like the thing from the past. I don't know how many years ago it was, but
I think it was 400.
yeah, that
Yeah.
big like thing in the past where the guy shows up and he becomes really good friends with the chief or whatever, and so
Mhm.
he waits for him to come back and he never does. Like that's the whole point, like that why they ring the bell and all that is like to
Yep.
remind him that that place exists. I liked all that. I just didn't really like any of the people involved during that, like any of the villains or the people that lived in Skypiea or the Shandians or whatever. I just none of them were really interesting to me. Like I actually well there was one I did like oh, I forget his name too. The guy that kind of looked like Gandalf. He was dressed up in the suit of armor. Um,
Oh man,
I
I'm
forget his name
having
too.
trouble forgetting like the side characters as well. I gotta be honest. It's
Yeah,
been
he
a
was
while
like
since I've watched it.
he was like the guy that used to be like the big shot leader. Like he used to be the king or something.
Oh yeah.
But he stopped doing that
Okay.
because Eneru kind of took that from him and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah. It's
liked him.
the knight that shows up initially when they first get
Yeah,
up to the clouds. Yeah.
yeah, I
He was
liked
cool.
him. I just didn't really like any of the characters in Skypiea. Maybe that's why I didn't like it as
Yeah.
much.
I think the part that sealed the deal for me, which is why I liked it over Alabasta, was one at it was past the second point I'm gonna make, but when Robin finds the poneglyph on the bell with Gold Roger's name on it, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah,
And
that was
then
cool.
I think the biggest part was Luffy ringing the bell and it just reverberating like as far as the ear can hear, and
Hmm.
the guy on the ground hearing it and knowing that Skypiea exists. I thought that
Oh
was
yeah, and there
really
was
really big.
there's the one like scene where Luffy is reflected in the clouds of him like jumping up and stuff.
Yeah,
That was really
I
cool.
thought that was really deep, and like knowing that finally getting the validation that his ancestor wasn't a crazy person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
So,
I'll
where you
I
gonna put
know you're gonna disagree,
it?
but I know you don't like it as much as Alabasta, but I gotta put it at least on par with Alabasta.
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
These three are on par right now.
For me, I would put it like B, middle B. Like, I didn't like it nearly as
Okay.
much, but I'll let it slide for now.
Still no S tiers, but
That's
honestly, this is the point that after Skypiea, this was the point where I thought it was an 8 out of 10, the whole show.
true. Mhm.
So we're getting into some really heavy hitters now.
Yeah, you say that,
Yeah.
and look what's up next.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have to spend much time on this?
No,
Uh,
no.
So dog shit land. Um, wait, was it dog shit
said it
ring?
wrong.
Dog shit land.
I called it dog shit dog land.
Dog shit dog. Long
Because
ring
it-
long land, as it said.
Why did that exist? Why was that there? Why was that an arc?
Everything
Why?
was just too perfectly
I'm
timed.
convinced that it was just mislabeled as like canon, but I'm pretty sure Foxy comes back at some point, like at random episodes.
He
It just
came
feels
back
like
in
filler.
he came back in a filler arc,
Well then,
which I thought was really funny.
I feel like it's filler. Maybe we're both wrong here. Maybe it is filler. But
Maybe it is.
it was
yeah, 'cause
labeled
it's
canon when I
so
watched it.
The
It was
best part
labeled
about
canon.
this arc was the afro.
Yeah. Or like just Zoro and Sanji competing the entire time.
Yeah, when Usopp and Sanji are like, "Ooh, so groovy." I loved that. But other
I
than
just
that, it
thought
was
that
dog
whole
shit.
thing was so dumb. Like we're not even gonna talk about it anymore. Leave it at that. Bad
Yeah.
arc. Done.
Terrible.
Move along.
Okay, now Water 7 and
Now the actual good stuff.
oh, where do we start on this? All right, we got to start with the fight. Usopp and Luffy. I mean, it's like
is that the start? I'd
All
say
right, well-
first is Frankie's introduction.
the first big plot point, but I'd say the if we're starting from the very beginning, just the design of Water 7 is
It
so
is really cool. It is very cool.
It's the first. I think it was the first island. I mean, you can't not be in awe of like a sky island, but it was like the first island where I was like, whoa, like
Yeah, it was really.
he actually
unique.
thought about this one.
It was like one
Yeah.
manufactured, like man-made island. Obviously, it wasn't man-made because there was rocks and stuff, but like
Yeah,
it was just really cool how structured it was and how it had all those functioning gates and doors and levels and
yeah, and the
yeah,
sea
it was very cool.
train,
It was very cool.
and then yeah, it's one of those arcs that doesn't really. I guess most of them don't really start out with a goal, and then it just kind of shit hits the fan all of a sudden with nobody can find Robin, and we get introduced to Cypher Pole, and then we get the fight with Luffy and Frankie, and then Luffy's falsely accused, and all the shipwrights are trying to get at him.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy stuff because you find out
Mhm.
about Iceberg and how he got like shot and all that.
Mm. And then we get the Usopp Luffy fight after Usopp
'cause
gets pummeled at the Frankie house.
Oh my god, yeah, he got beat to hell.
Yeah.
But then he like for a moment holds his own with Luffy, and I thought that was
Yeah, I mean,
crazy.
Like you knew he was never gonna win that, but he did better than you thought he would.
Oh, yeah, and plus he was just too determined to fight for the Mary. So
Yeah, his like
that was so good.
you can understand why he was so stubborn about the Mary, but at the same time you're like, dude, you gotta stop being so emotional. Like
Mhm.
at the end of the day, right before a certain point, I was like, dude, it's just a ship. But then after the fight, which was just heartbreaking, and it's the first moment in I think it's the first moment in the whole show where you're like, why why is this happening?
Also, it's the first part where like the crew members are conflicting.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not because of Nami and Arlong Park, so I guess that's a lie. But like, I don't know, that one just hit a lot harder. I guess it's because they've been together longer at that point.
Yeah.
It was so good. And then like, obviously, we're not going to talk too much about it because there's way too much shit that happens in here to like go over again. But yeah, all that build up into Enies lobby where Robin gets taken over there to be sent through the what are they called, the gates of justice.
Yep.
That was all of it, all the way up to Enies lobby. Like all the build up to it was amazing, and then all of the actual content in Enies lobby was obviously amazing with all the fighting and Luffy's second gear and
Yeah,
third gear even as well.
And unlike an arc that we'll talk about in a little bit, that's towards the end of this tier list, it never felt like it dragged. Even though it took a while to get through everything, but it never once it was never not entertaining in what
there
it
was
did.
well,
It
there's
was
so many
always
different things
good.
happening. It wasn't like
Yeah.
it wasn't the same goal the entire time. There was like one thing that initially happened that was like for a second it became the forefront, then I got put in the back burner because of Usopp and his conflicting stuff with Luffy, and then the Robin stuff comes back because we're like, wait a minute, she disappeared, and then there's
Yeah.
Frankie, who we initially thought was a bad guy, but then we find out he has a relation to Iceberg, and then Iceberg we find out he's a good guy too, and then we find out some of these shipwrights are actually bad guys. It's like, oh my god, there's so much shit. There's so
And
much
everything
stuff
with the
happening at the same
Mary,
time.
starting out with like Usopp and Frankie and the warehouse under the bridge when we're finding out that like the ship actually has like emotions and a spirit, and like at that point I was like, fuck, no, we gotta keep
It's
the
not just
Mary.
a ship, bro.
It's not just a ship. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was
yeah,
a
and then
ride.
all the fights were so good at Enies Lobby. The only question I have about those fights is what the fuck Zoro did with the nine
Yeah,
sword
yeah,
style.
I've heard that from a lot of people. I'm confused just as much, but
That's the only
whatever.
thing I
Typical Zoro
question.
stuff.
But other than that, it was just solid. It was great.
It was typical Zoro being able to cut through things he shouldn't be able to cut through.
Yeah. Um, everything with Robin and them standing on each tower and shouting to each other. And then Robin's backstory, of course. Can't forget that.
Another just completely horribly sad backstory that just
Yeah.
instantly makes you love the character. Like I already kind of liked Robin, but all the way up until that point, I remember talking to one of our friends about this too. When she first like joined, I was like, she seems too sneaky and like nonchalant to just want to join this crew. I always felt she had a motive. Obviously, it wasn't by her choice, but she later on
Yeah.
like reveals what her plan was. But then like second you get that backstory, it's like, nah, I'll forget about all that stuff. You're cool. You're
I
cool.
got
I'll
it
forget
when
about all
when
that stuff.
Robin was first introduced right before Little Garden. I was like, "Yo, she's really cool." But she like I never thought she would join the crew. And when she did join the crew, I was like, "This won't last long." Nah, she's not gonna be
Yeah,
here that
I
long.
expected her to be like a villain, like returning, but that obviously she wasn't.
Because I knew the only reason she joined the crew was to find more poneglyphs. It didn't have anything to do with them.
Well, I mean that and like Luffy forced her to stay alive because she originally didn't want to live, and Luffy like made her live by taking her out of that collapsing building in Alabasta.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, fine, I'm gonna join your crew then, since you want me to live so bad.
And I think as that arc with Skypiea progressed, she actually built a bond with them, and she realized that they're actually good people.
Mm-hmm.
And then that leads into Water 7 and everything like that.
And
It's
that
the
leads, yeah.
first time she actually like found people she can rely on.
Yeah, it's
And
just
then-
it's a roller coaster emotionally the entire way.
And then to finish off, just the Mary. Oh my god. Like I talked about it in our podcast, but like I'll say it again. Like just killed me.
Yeah, it was a lot to handle, especially right after all of the already just emotionally taxing shit that was happening before that.
Yeah.
One Piece does a good job of kicking you while you're down.
And then probably one of the best wrap ups of an arc with Garp and Kobe and Helmeppo and
Oh yeah,
the
and
new
and
ship.
also yeah, just it was equally resolution as much as it was just like seeding more setup later on.
Yeah.
Which I mean, every big arc has done this so well. So
And everyone gets a bounty now. Yeah. All right. So it's got to be S, right?
Oh yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It is one of the best,
It's-
easily.
Hard to top.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's not waste too much more time.
Yeah.
Thriller
We gotta
Bark.
speed these up.
Introduction of Brooke.
My man.
One of the best introductions of a character that I've seen.
Yes. It was honestly just it was hilarious. It was so funny.
Like, not just that, just like at first you're like, really? But then
This dude's
you
just
get
kinda, like,
everything
dead.
with Laboon, and you're like, fuck.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wouldn't consider that an introduction to him though. But yeah, you learn more about him, and it's like.
Well, I mean, the first arc any character appears in, I feel like that's part of their introduction.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say it was aside from the Kuma, and the Binks Brew and everything else with Brooke and Laboon, it wasn't really that amazing.
Yeah, it really wasn't all that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like all the background stuff that didn't take forefront was what I was more interested in. I was more interested in Brooke. I was more interested in his other like soul version of himself,
Like
with
the
sword.
fight with Oars and Moria, wasn't really interested in the fight with Oars. I was more interested in the fight with Moria, and the fight with Moria was very short-lived. Nightmare Luffy was cool, but like, was it that cool? Because he was just big and strong, and
He just
didn't
looked like the
last very
Hulk.
long. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
didn't
say
enjoy like
I don't think
any of the.
I didn't really like Moria that much. I thought it was kind of lame. I didn't really the only like side villain character I liked was Perona, and the guy who had
Mm.
Shusui, which was Brooks' like other
Yeah,
version of
yeah,
himself. I liked him, but Hogback was just a piece of shit. And I didn't like him. I didn't like the cat dude that wanted to marry Nami because he was just creepy.
yeah.
Um,
That was
Obviously
super
Akuma,
creepy.
him showing up like towards the end, like I was like, oh shit, like this arc's getting good again.
If it
So
weren't for the the Kuma showing up and then Binks Brew at the end, I'd say C. But I think that
probably
redeems it
yeah,
enough to put it as a B.
yeah. I would say all of that stuff, like Brooke's backstory, especially because Brooke is my favorite backstory. I think it is just
So good.
so
Yeah.
sad, but so good at the same time, and like to learn about him and his bond with Laboon is like, oh man,
Yeah.
yeah. Brooke's backstory is definitely my favorite. So like Brooke alone made that arc so good. Not to mention all the
Yeah.
Kuma stuff with like
Him and
Zoro.
Kuma were carried that arc.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say B, 100%.
Okay.
We can
What are
order
we
it later. Just
thinking?
throw it there.
We'll just throw it there for now.
Yeah.
Okay. Saba Odi.
Crazy.
Okay,
That's all I'll say.
this is a kind of, it starts out so nice and simple, and then and then everything that happens at the auction house, and then it's just like a million miles an hour
It explodes.
until it
It
ends.
explodes.
Yeah.
Because it initially starts funny more than anything with Duval.
Yeah,
Which
it
is
starts. Yeah, it starts with the part that you think is a filler arc.
It did feel like filler at first, but then you find out how much context it actually has with
But then-
Sanji's face.
But then Hachi shows up, and then Sanji's old deal with Duval, and you're like, okay, this has to be canon.
Yeah.
Um,
It was definitely like worth watching it though. It was so funny
yeah,
all the way
yeah.
through.
Dude, when Duval's face is revealed, you're just like,
I was
really?
crying.
I was-
so hard
I
at
was-
that. Because
that was
especially
so
because of
funny.
how pissed Sanji was that someone like him exists. Oh my god, it was so funny. It was so funny.
Everything always goes in the nothing ever goes Sanji's way.
I
Say
guess
that.
not. But yeah, like leading into Sabodi, it was like it didn't feel like it was going to be much, and then obviously, like we just said, it explodes and it goes, and it's short too because I mean, for obvious reasons, it's short, but it just
Yeah.
feels like there's so much stuff happening so early. It's like they packed everything in a long like 70 episode arc into that like 20 episodes that it is, like 15 episodes.
It's the
whatever.
first hint you get at the new world, really. It's the first giant
Well, yeah, because this is them about to cross
yeah.
across the red line.
It's
Um,
it's the start of
or
the
not the red
setup
line.
of the time skip.
What is it called? Is it the red line?
It is the red line, you're right.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it's just so much shit.
So many
all
new
at once.
characters introduced. You meet Rayleigh, who's just fucking crazy. And awesome, and it's the first time that hockey is heavily used, but still hasn't been revealed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because it has an ending, but it's not, there isn't like a
It's an
goal for the crew.
abrupt
They're
ending.
kind of just like going through it. They're not actually trying to do anything other than like save Kami.
Yeah, they were just there to
Um,
get their ship coated.
Yeah. So it's
And
it's a
then-
weird one to rate, I gotta be honest. But it's so cool. I think the coolness factor might just give it an A.
Yeah. Oh no, it's an A for me easily.
Yeah.
If not, I wouldn't say S because it's not enough, but A easily for me.
Yeah, I think
because
it
it's
has to be an
So much shock, like so much like I knew like obviously because I not that I've been like spoiled on a lot of stuff for like post time skip, but I knew that like none of these characters were actually going to die when they did. But I was convinced that like for a second I was like, is Zoro gonna die here? Because Zoro was already beat to shit from Kuma,
Yeah.
and then Kizaru was like about to kill him again. Well, he was trying to kill him. I mean, and it was like, is he gonna die? And then I was like, wait a minute, no. And then
A. Yeah.
Kuma did his thing where he started, Thanos snapping people out of existence and sending them wherever
Mhm.
the hell they went. It was fucked up, man. It's just
It was like, I think that last interaction, the fight with Kuma and Kizaru and Rayleigh and the whole crew, that was just, it was a lot of shock and confusion, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a really good way to hook the viewer, and that's exactly
Yeah.
what it did. Yeah, so A easily has to be, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
it didn't have as cohesive as like a story structure to give it like an S, so it's more like really cool and shock and awe. That's why it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. Amazon Lily.
Not really too
What
much
are
to
you
say
saying?
about this arc, honestly. Like, it's pretty good. um,
It
it's
doesn't. I wouldn't say it does anything like blatantly wrong.
no, but I
Yeah.
wasn't that invested into it either.
No, I
Like,
was
it
more
didn't
the
like
yeah.
draw my attention much.
I was until the point where Hancock falls in love with Luffy. I was kind of just like, can we get going here?
Yeah, it literally felt like, all right, can we like get back to what we were trying to
Yeah.
do before? Because at that point, you're still convinced that they're trying to get back in 3 days, but
Yeah.
obviously that doesn't
And at that
happen.
point, you still don't know anything about where the other crew is.
Yeah, you don't know at all. And
Yeah.
I just kept thinking, I'm like, is this really like 20 episodes like of this? This
Mhm.
just feels so jarring after.
It was very jarring because it's like it's the first time we've been without the crew ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the first time the characters were all separated, like actually separated.
Yeah, and like a lot of the actual conflict that was happening during that arc, I didn't really, care about. It was more so just Luffy fighting for these people he didn't know. And
Yeah, I would say the best things about it were Hancock and the whatever sister's
and the
backstory.
Conquerors hockey.
Yeah, and we find out about the Conqueror's hockey and the interaction between Luffy and Hancock, and then the moment where Luffy finds out Ace is gonna get executed.
Yeah, that it was really just like a transition for me. That's all it felt
Yeah,
like.
but it didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't anything amazing. B or C for me.
Um, I don't know, man. I don't think I could give it a B. I think for me it's a
Yeah,
C. Just because it didn't like it
it
was
didn't really do
funny. It was
much.
funny, but
Yeah,
I just felt like a all right, can we go to the next part like thing. So for me, like it feels wrong to give it a C, but I don't know, man. I don't
yeah.
know.
Because it didn't really do much, but what it did do, it did fine, but it still didn't do much. So I, d- I don't know. I uh,
I'd say for me it's a C. I've come to the decision.
it's I'd shade towards high B, but I'll concede a C. Or not
I
high
don't
B,
think it did.
low B.
I don't think it did enough.
Yeah.
I don't think it did
Uh,
enough to be on par with those.
but it wasn't anything bad, which is weird to give it a C, but I
It
understand
just
why.
didn't do enough.
Yeah, true. Okay. Impel Down. This is this is the first arc. Like I know like we talked about it before about getting on with certain things like when I mentioned earlier with the Baratier, can we get on to what the fuck Nami's doing, or as we just mentioned with Amazon Lily, can we get like what's happening with the crew, or can we get on with it?
Or
But
like
like
Ace.
yeah, um, and but this was the first arc where I was like, wow, this is actually really dragging. Can we just like
Yeah, I felt the same way. I
yeah
was about to say that. Like Impel Down was good
yeah
for what it was, but oh my god, there was so much dragging.
yeah
So much. Like so much tedious, like each floor having its own story almost. Like
yeah at the point where Luffy got into the prison and Hancock let him go and he was running off on his own, I was like, okay, how are they gonna handle this? And then by like 3 episodes later, we weren't even down to the second floor. I was like, oh Jesus, it's gonna be like
yeah.
this.
Yeah. I mean, you should have
Uh,
expected it, but yeah.
yeah.
I was not I was not crazy about this arc just for the fact that it didn't need to be that long at all.
Yeah, I
It
mean
did not.
it had redeeming qualities like the characters coming back, Buggy, Bon Clay, Mister Three.
Yeah, it actually gave me a reason to like Bon Clay and Buggy because before, well, I liked Bon Clay before, but I didn't like Buggy
Yeah,
before. But like him showing up and kind of seeing him without his crew and just him like actually cooperating with Luffy was I liked.
yeah.
Also, I mean, like there's a ton of characters that come back in this arc. I mean,
The whole dynamic
Crocodile
with
comes back.
Ace and Hancock. Hancock telling Ace that Luffy's there. We get Crocodile. We get Jinbei.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters that he introduced that I like, and a lot of returning characters I like, but the actual arc itself, I didn't like. I didn't really like Magellan that much, and I didn't like his fights with Luffy at all. Like, I
I
don't
did.
know.
I thought the whole aspect with the underground like haven with Eva. I thought that was a little convenient. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. Well, it made sense though once you actually found out what it was. Like,
Yeah, it
it was
did.
just like a resistance division that was just waiting for the moment to break out, and they
I
could have
mean,
at any moment.
it
But
wasn't like a Deus Ex Machina where it's just something just happens because
just
they got
so
lucky, but
conveniently, yeah.
it wasn't that bad, but it did feel a little bit convenient. Especially with the Eva being an expert in like healing and all that.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't think it was like shoehorned or anything though. I just thought it was one of the weaker plot points of the show.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, the best part of this is the characters that come back. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know. For this one, it's also a C for me. I was not
Yeah, no,
crazy.
definitely a
I was
C.
like,
I'll
I
put
was
it
like,
below actually. Amazon below,
yeah,
not even.
yeah. It just didn't need to be that long. If it was compressed more, maybe I would like it a lot more. But it just, for the fact that it felt like it was taking way too long to do what it was trying to do, it just really
Hmm.
hurt my enjoyment so much. Um, which sucks because it has some really emotional moments in it too, like Ace finding out about Luffy breaking into prison.
Yep.
Like Bon Clay, staying behind and opening the gates and all
Yep.
that was like so good, but it just it's its only redeeming qualities for me. So yeah, that's all I'll say about that because now we're moving on to the big shot.
All right, Whitebeard War, Marineford.
This was the beginning.
Damn, how do we even
I
start with
mean,
this?
well,
So
this is
many
literally
characters.
this is literally the final climax before the time skip, which is huge just to say.
Yep.
And on top of that, we have, all these characters that are only bits and pieces seen early on, like Whitebeard and all that. You don't really,
So
you saw him a while ago, but you didn't see him hardly at all until now.
let me
So,
step it back a little bit. So first we have the first major climax is Arlong Park, right? And then
yes.
we get our second major climax with Alabasta. And Skypiea is kind of in a bubble. It's kind of like stands on its own.
Yeah, it's kind of its own thing.
Yeah. So there's a climax there, although it wasn't really led up
It's not even a
to.
part of the same world, though, technically.
Yeah. So we'll count that even though it's kind of its own category. And then we get our I'll say fourth major climax with Water 7. And
Oh,
this
yeah,
is
I
the
would
fifth
definitely
one.
say that. Yeah. This is, yeah.
This is the last one before the time skip.
Because, I mean, Water 7, like Enies Lobby, they literally challenged the world
Oh
government.
yeah, I'm saying fourth because I was still classifying Skypiea even though
Yeah, yeah.
like
But I'm
otherwise I
saying,
would have said third.
like they literally were directly confronting the world government and saying, "Hey, we don't
Yep.
care." So then Marineford, when Luffy shows up and
It was the
he's
first
like
time
an
they really
enemy of
make
the
a name for
Marines.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's hard to go into detail because we would just be here forever about the
Yeah,
Whitebeard
and
War.
honestly, even when you boil it down, there's really not too much to say if you want to like minimalize what you do say. It's more so just big war, a lot of fighting, a lot of characters get a lot of context, and then
A lot of characters meet for the first time.
a lot of characters meet for the first time, and then it's like really, really deep cutting shit. Like just a
Yeah.
lot of pain, but
Everything
equally
with
a lot of
Ace and
action.
Whitebeard, Blackbeard, Kobe, Shanks. Just so much to unwrap, but which we did in the podcast, so you can go watch that
Yeah.
if you haven't yet.
Yeah, well, I feel like half of this video has just been us repeating our same shit we've
Um,
been saying.
but like to play devil's advocate, It took him like 10 episodes to get across that ice,
Oh,
dude.
it did. It did. I will agree with that. Like, it makes sense because it's like this big war, and it wants to give context to all these characters, like especially all of Whitebeard's crew. Like, a lot of them have like relevancy to the show during that arc, but it's just like, man, a lot of it just like how much ice was there to run on, man? You really
Yeah.
didn't.
He was running for about 7 episodes, and he was like a third of the way, and then the last episode he made it the rest of the way.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, sure.
So in that regard, the pacing was a
Yeah.
little
Off,
but
but
it made sense. But it was yeah.
I think I have to go A though. It's got to be at least an A.
It's at least an A. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty damn outstanding.
It hits hard.
I don't know, man. I want to
Is
say
it
S,
better
but I
than
don't
those
know.
3?
Which 3?
Arlong Park, Alabasta, and Skypiea.
I would say for me, it's only a decision between Alabasta and Marineford because I didn't like the other 2 nearly as much. But
You see, for me, I'd put it above Skypiea, but I would. I'd put Whitebeard War above Skypiea, but I'd also put Arlong Park above Whitebeard War. So, I mean, we'll split hairs for the sake of the list, but
I just know that it's at least like really high A, almost S. I don't know.
We'll put it at the highest A. No, we'll rearrange this once we're done with the last one here, but
okay, yeah, we'll
for
come
now.
back to it, but
okay. All right, last one, Fishman. This is one where it's very similar to Thriller Bark in essence, where the villain is kind of meh, but the elements consisting of the whole plot, like Jinbei's backstory and the whole interaction with Nami, and then Robin's interaction with the king about the overarching plot with Joy Boy and Poseidon was really cool, and then we get to see all the time skip flexing that the crew did. But like the villain was kind of just like I wouldn't say he was bad per se, but he did feel a little shoehorned and unimaginative.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've already talked about pretty much all of these on our previous podcast episode. I don't know when it'll be uploaded in regards to this, but
I've been doing so much recording and
yeah, we have like One Piece related stuff already has been like 4 hours of just straight recording. But I don't know, like the actual like post time skip ability flexing part I loved, and I feel like that's what this arc was just kind of meant for, other than like background world building and then just like, hey, let's see how good everyone is now compared to what they used to be. But like the actual villain, I literally didn't care about at all. The other villain that was apparently also trying to stay relevant, that like threw that giant boat, I also didn't care about at all. I literally only cared about like the background world building with the Fishman. What was that guy's name? What was the first Fishman Pirates captain?
Fisher Tiger.
I really liked his stuff. I will say that. I loved his stuff. Like his, not really backstory, but like his story. I loved, and like the queen, I really liked her stuff too. But that's like the backstory, world building, and then what the Straw Hats like learned over the time skip. That's all I cared about. Everything else, I was like, this villain's boring. I don't know how these Straw Hats are like struggling at all with these people. It just, that's what made me mad.
It's kind of like the way I see Fishman Island is like, say you have a multi-layered lollipop, and every layer is so interesting until you get to the core of it, and it's just shit.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of amazing elements coupled with a villain that's kind of just meh.
It just didn't make sense, man.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense. Like, how this guy... like, here's another thing, too. This villain already seemed underwhelming as hell compared to, like... I don't know, like Crocodile.
He's like I talked about it with my friend who reads the manga. He's kind of just like a B-Tech Arlong.
Yeah, to Arlong, Horty seems less threatening, but these the Straw Hats who have powered up after this time skip have more struggle with him. Like, it's just...
Well, because of I mean, I understand that because of the drug part and the fact that they're underwater.
That's what I
So
mean. Like I feel like they could have. I feel like there could have been a different way to make this guy like cool and strong than these like pills. Like I thought
there
that was
could have
so
been a
dumb.
different way. But I didn't necessarily think it was the worst way to go about it. I'd say the thriller bark enemies were less interesting than this one,
I
but
don't know.
I'd
I
say
feel like they had way more
this would be the
personality.
second least interesting one.
Yeah, it's just like cause here's the thing. Without those like I forget what they named the like the pill thing they were taking to power them up. It was like a whatever. I don't. It was like an
Yeah, I don't.
energy
Well, they
thing.
didn't have an. I don't think they had a name for it, but the
They
thing that it
called it
came
something
in
though.
was the tomate box.
Yeah, but like without those, none of those characters were they all felt like side characters, like filler side, like not useful, obviously not strong, but once they take this, like power
Well, at
up
least they
juice.
justified it at the end with like yeah, these characters aren't coming back because they were just enhanced normal characters. So this was their last hurrah. It
Yeah,
was their only hurrah and it was their last hurrah.
that's why I felt it was just kind of like a dumb way to do the first arc post time skip. I would have preferred like a pretty powerful, pretty tough dude that like was just well known or something.
I don't think it was that bad. I just think the elements were would could have been so much so much better if they were coupled with a more interesting character. But
Yeah.
I like I wouldn't put it as a C. I don't think it's as bad as or as uninteresting as those two, but I think it's I wouldn't go as high as an A either. I just think it's a B.
Yeah, no, for me it's a C. For me it's the lowest C. I did not like it
Whoa.
enough. I didn't
Wow.
like it enough for anything except for just
I can't put it as a C.
how
I
people
won't agree
powered
there.
up. That's all I
I'll
cared.
go B and I won't even go highest B, but I can't put it as a C.
That's fine. That's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't really agree, but it's fine. Um, okay, so now we gotta order it.
Okay, so left
Which I
is
guess
better.
yeah. I would yeah farthest left I would say is better. So obviously we don't really I don't think we have to order anything in C. I think we think
No,
I
C is
think
good.
we think little or what is it called Amazon Lily is better than Impel Down.
Yeah, yeah.
B is obviously going to be the hardest because there's just a bunch of stuff to order. Um, going I guess going should we go left to right with it to figure out?
All right. Well, why don't we just go? Why don't we go like take two at a time and just like go swapping back and forth if they don't match up.
Okay.
So Drum Island and Baratier. I think Drum Island wins that.
Yeah, I would say for the most part it's better, but
Yeah.
they both have the same exact issue. Just that, like, at least to me, like the main conflict villain just wasn't interesting.
Yeah. True.
I guess that's my issue
Um.
with multiple One Piece arcs. Damn. Um,
Okay. Baratier and Logtown.
uh, I man, I don't know, cause Logtown's weird.
Logtown is weird. I don't know if I can rate it that highly in the B's.
Yeah, I'd
I'll
say
put
it's fine.
Baratier above it.
Yeah, I'd say it's fine where it is.
Okay. Um.
Romance
Logtown and
Dawn.
Romance Dawn.
I would say Logtown is definitely better because there's just more content.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Romance Dawn is just really an intro. Okay, so Romance Dawn and Orange Town.
I prefer the starting arc over Orange Town in my opinion because I
Agreed.
just didn't
Agreed.
like the buggy stuff that much at first. And also that was back when like the One Piece pacing just like obviously, there was shorter arcs, but it just felt like everything was happening really slowly. Like there was these weird spaces, which I mean that's the same with Romance Dawn, but at the same time it's just
Yeah,
that just consists of Luffy's
it
introduction
was.
and
It
Zoro's
started a
introduction.
bit disjointed.
Yeah. So
It
that's
was almost
why.
like they were trying to set up a base of experience for the characters before they actually got into like the
Sure,
real
yeah,
action.
sure. Um,
Okay, Orange Town and Little Garden. I think Little Garden wins that.
yeah, I would say that.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that.
Okay, Orange Town and I think Orange Town is the last year. I gotta be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. Um, I
Okay,
would for me,
so
I would probably put the Thriller. Wait, which one is that? Is that
this is Thriller Bark.
I would put that above. Uh,
Little Garden.
yeah, I
Yeah,
would.
I agree there.
Maybe even Romance Dawn as well, but that's just me.
Oh, almost. Yeah, no, I'll agree there.
Okay, yeah, I think everything else is fine where it is. To me.
Ooh, Logtown this high though?
Um, I could put Thriller Bark above that. I could do that.
I gotta
Yeah, I could do
be
that.
honest there.
I could definitely do that. Yeah.
Ratio's good though.
I don't know.
I would put Fishman Island and Little Garden higher, but I'll concede. It's fine.
Yeah, I'd say like Baratier and Thriller Bark are like it's hard to compare the two because both of them are like really good for certain reasons, but both of them have like really weird issues for certain reasons.
I would honestly I would do this.
I wouldn't even be mad about it honestly. For me, they're like pretty tied,
I
so
would put
that's fine with me where that is.
Okay, cool. All right,
And
we'll
then
settle
now-
that on
yeah,
the B's.
Now
All
A's.
right, A's. This we're gonna really argue on this one.
Yeah.
Okay, I think these two are fine with error.
What's
Saba,
that?
Odie, and Syrup.
Yeah, as long as Syrup Village stays in A, because honestly, I think it's well deserved.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it is.
what's after Sabadi? Is that?
That's Arlong.
Ooh. I feel like those are so hard to like compare.
If it was me, I would put Arlong where Skypiea is, and then I'd put Alabasta where Arlong is. But I know you won't agree to that. I think Whitebeard is probably. Oh,
I don't know. I really like Marineford. I don't know if it.
I feel like it's either 1 or 2 here. Whitebeard.
Yeah,
Or
for like
Marineford.
if you're asking me, like my top 2 in A would be Alabasta, Marineford, but I don't know. I don't think Sabodi deserves to be that low. I think it needs to be higher.
But it didn't really. It was more just cool setup, and like cool. Like obviously, it had that crazy impact frame.
Well, and it was
With
tense.
Luffy and
It
the
was tense
Celestial
as hell though,
Dragon.
with like all the Straw Hats getting sent out. It felt like actual consequence.
Yeah, but it didn't really have like a conclusive.
It wasn't
Like,
a
plot
full
line.
arc, yeah.
Like I don't think I could put it up. I don't think I could put it above any of those 4 just for that reason.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. If you ask me, obviously Skypiea being like the outlier here, but other than that, I think everything's ordered like where I would put it. I just
Okay, I'm fine leaving it how it is.
yeah,
honestly.
I'm fine with that. And then Water 7
Like I
obviously
would
is-
put Arlong Park where Skypiea is, but that's fine.
I mean, if you want to do that, well, no, because I don't like it more than Alabasta. That's just me.
Yeah, and I like Skypiea more than Alabasta, but I like Arlong Park more than Skypiea, so it's weird.
Yeah, that's fine. We can leave everything where it is, and then obviously Water 7 is like
It's just God.
it's the
tier.
best arc. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with where everything is. Well, for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we had to compromise because this isn't like
This is a single list.
solo. This isn't
Yeah.
a solo list. This is this is a joint list. So, yeah, I'll edit out what the fuck this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just put like a logo there or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think.
Anything else to say?
I think we're pretty good. I mean, we've already like I said, like other than this putting
Yeah.
stuff into definitive tiers, we've already said basically everything we said in this video, just in more extensive length in the One Piece podcast
In the
episode we did.
podcast, yeah. Which will
which
go
I'm
up
assuming-
before this, by the
I was
way.
gonna say, which I'm assuming would go up before this. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
All
think
right,
there's
cool.
much else to say. Just
Well,
know that,
I'm expecting whenever, like maybe it's years probably down the line when when One Piece actually finishes, if that ever happens.
people have rumored like
we'll do
2
another
years
one
from
of
now,
these.
but people always try to come up with time frames. But
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows, man?
But yeah, that was fun. All right, so that'll be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Comment if you have something to say. If you have a scintillating viewpoint on how dumb we are for putting a certain arc in a certain place.
Yeah, I mean, if people see this, they'll definitely there'll be some opinions that will differ.
Yeah.
You can also
And
you can also look at my channel with a single video on it because I just have procrastinated to put another one out, but maybe in the future.
I'll link it in the description. All right.
I had to throw the plug in there, even though I literally have no content.
Exactly. You'll get there. Anyway, and subscribe if you want to, if you're interested in content like this. And yeah, this has been Jay and Tyler. Have a good one. Peace.